Everyone, welcome to another exciting adventure in podcasting, another episode of Words, Images, and Worlds. Delighted on this episode to be talking with comics creator, artist Andy MacDonald. Andy, thank you for joining.
Hello, thank you for having me.
A pleasure, a pleasure. May I ask about the art on the wall behind you? That looks like kind of stereo,
Uh,
earphone kind of artwork.
y- yeah, my wife was into printmaking, and this is a few of her pieces, except
Oh,
for that one.
nice.
That's like some watercolor that she did of a cat that we owned.
Shout out to the creative families. I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, folks out there might know you for a range of work. You can, of course, talk about whatever happens to bubble to the surface as far as your favorites, but I know there's NYC Mech,
Mm.
Rogue Planet, lots of things for DC, including the New 52, as well as Terminator. So you've worked on a lot of things, either covers or interior or both. So a nice range of creating that's out there.
Thanks. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, anything specific comes to mind you want to ask me about, go ahead.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
some of it's a little like I think NYC Mech is probably the first actual, not even probably, that's the first actual like series of books that I ever worked on with Ivan Brandon and Miles Gunter ages ago, eons ago. And if you
Hmm.
could, I think they're totally out of print, and if you can find them, good luck. But if you can, or maybe you already own them, please enjoy them. It's kind of like looking at old pictures of yourself that you didn't know were taken. It can be a little awkward for me, but I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. The growth of the artist, right? And being one's
Yeah.
own critic. Yeah.
Mhm.
I always enjoy Miles Gunther's work as well. So one that
Mm.
definitely stands out. Uh, I tend to ask an origins kind of question. So curious
Mm.
about comics, how they entered your life and how you knew this is the place for me. I shall create comics one
Uh, the
day.
I Shall Create comics didn't come until much later in my life, because I think like a lot of people maybe my age or close to, there's this time when you don't think it's a viable or possible or even real career. These things are just made, But to me, it was like, yeah, that's a thing that exists, and I didn't really consider it as a thing until I got out of college. I went to college for like painting and design, and things kept going back. Like I can do all of these things in comics. I can do painting, I can do design, I can do drawing, ink wash, writing. I can combine all these things in comics. Having already been a fan of comics before that, which I would blame squarely on the Incredible Hulk TV show with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, that changed the trajectory of everything else.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny how TV shows, movies, toys, I mean, all of that's part of my life with comics too.
Mm.
Just really sucked me in. Is there a particular kind of story, something that especially when it comes across your desk or in your email, it fires you up and gets you kind of interested creatively?
Not any particular type of story. Just maybe usually the way that it's the feeling of it when I can latch onto the feeling of what the story is. Kind of almost no matter what it is. If I can get a good feeling for the vibe of it, then that will carry me into my kind of like creative process with it.
Hmm.
Um, Past that, I always feel like it's me trying to do justice to the writer's work. I feel like having trying now to do writing and having tried to do writing, I have a much higher level of respect for writers and how difficult it can be to just kind of pull all that out of the ether and then pass it along to someone else to entrust them to do their part.
Hmm.
And I've always been trying to just do justice to the story. Hopefully, whatever their meaning is trying to come through, I'm hopefully I can latch onto that and push it to the next stage so that a reader can then feel it or read it or understand it.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Love that. And any particular steps that you take to sort of break open that creativity, any creative rituals, process, mood music, lighting, anything like that that works for
Yeah,
you.
I wish. At one point it was. At one point it was just relentless amounts of just an endless pot of coffee and as much like driving music as I could get,
Hmm.
or like themes, not theme songs, like soundtracks. You know, very grand music, or like even like a lot of hip hop, and sometimes like throw in actually metal, something to kind of like push me to where I thought I needed to be, but I
Hmm.
think it was just more to get me out of my own laziness. Now it's more I sit down and get to work.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then the creative process now is your first idea is usually crap. So keep thinking.
Keep churning it. Keep churning it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I did mention that I would ask about some of the most rewarding experiences, maybe some of the best collaborations, best support that you've had in your creating.
Mm. Well, you mentioned Rogue Planet with Cullen Bunn and Nick Villardi did the colors, and that was a really like I had known both of them for a while, and had worked with Nick on NYC Mech, but I'd never worked with Cullen, and putting together that story, I had enough time to kind of really kind of do the work on that for
Hmm.
being a science fiction thing. I feel like you kind of like you gotta you don't want to retread the old stuff, So like I had a lot of time to kind of like put in some creative thought. And again, the first idea, just scrapped all those, got back and started again. And that was a really good experience. The another one that I remember was I Breathe the Body for the now litigious hell that is Aftershock
Hmm. Hmm.
comics. Um, I did with Zach Thompson, has who is still like I think is continually like a very like immensely creative, um, really like high energy. That was another story where there was a lot. I kind of got the vibe immediately of what he was trying to do, and then the actual story itself, like the guts of it were, so to speak, uh, were really interesting, and I felt like that was a very unique project to work on.
Yeah, yeah, very
Yeah.
cool, very cool. Well, anything that currently has your creative focus that you'd like to mention?
I don't know. It hasn't been mentioned yet, but I'm working on a thing with Matthew Rosenberg that hopefully will maybe later this year we'll announce it. I'm not sure when it'll be announced, but that's
Cool.
it's got like 95% of my creative focus. Yeah,
That
putting
Matthew
a lot
Rosenberg
into it.
things. Oh, sorry.
No, just the that's most of the other 5% is going to I guess keeping myself sane.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just saying Matthew Rosenberg things are always good things. Those are always enjoyable.
I agree. Yeah, that's another case where I get the script and I'm, like really excited to read it, but also like, good God, how am I going to do this justice? Like, to bring it to like, how can I match the quality that he's put into the script? How can I do that with the art? And so it's nice to be pushed like that.
Yeah, yeah. Are there particular convention spaces where you like to connect with fans and kind of be in touch that way?
I think not. I don't know how many people go anymore. Maybe more people. I haven't been in since before the lockdown with COVID. But I like HeroesCon down in
Hmm. Hmm.
Charlotte. That's a really nice kind of like to me. It's always been a very relaxed environment for people to interact. Um, but it's kind of like because being centrally, you got your north and south. People drive to get there. Whereas like I'm in Brooklyn. I like New York Comic Con, but I understand not everybody can get there or wants to get here because it's prohibitively expensive. So something is a little more attainable if I can come to uh, that area. It's usually a rewarding experience.
Yeah, I think I was going to ask about inspirations, any particular people that you've worked with, collaborated with that have sort of bled over into your approach, or people that you've gotten to admire from afar.
Um, I've never worked with him, but a daily source of inspiration for me is looking at Stuart Eminem's work,
Hmm. Hmm.
and just in and out of comics or comics adjacent, or the things that he will do, just because because of his love of like drawing and craft. That's a daily inspiration. Other than past that, it's you get into it's Kirby. Like Jack Kirby's
Right.
always a solid source. Look at the bookshelf. Yeah, yeah, it's a lot of Kirby over there. A lot of Stewart and stuff.
Not a bad
Um,
inspiration at all.
yeah, I was in a studio with Cliff Chang for a while, for a few years, and that was also a daily. And he's still, I mean, not to say that he's not anymore. We just don't work together every day like we used to. But like being next to somebody who is so professional and solid and just has a wide breadth of knowledge for comics and production. That was really inspirational as well.
Cool, cool. Well, have we missed anything in the talk through that you want to make sure to share before we close out?
Um, no, I'm
That's
sure
fine.
this will be a thing later on tonight where I'll probably used to bolt up in bed and be like, "Oh, I didn't mention
I
this
should
thing."
have said. No, that's fine. And if that does happen, we can totally link back in the next few days and I can drop it in and all of that. But I always like to ask that just because I don't want to miss anything and want to make sure that I ask the questions that get the information that you want to share. So that's totally fine. That's cool.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'll preserve this look too, so it'll be a seamless edit
That's
when
right.
if we have to go back and do new shoots.
Yeah, that totally works. Or I can just put art over it and it'll slide by. It'll work. Well, glad to talk with you, Andy. Wishing you a happy 4th, happy early holiday, and glad to have you back here anytime. And